Hey everyone, intuitive astrologer Lisa Salvatore to talk about Jupiter's entrance into Aries. So on May 10th, expansive Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Aries. We're going to talk about why this is significant, what this means for us collectively, but more importantly, what this means for us individually based upon our own sun sign / rising sign. Now, I highly suggest that you follow this video according to your rising sign. I've linked below a tutorial, a quick one on how to pull up your birth chart, and it will show you what your ascendant, aka rising sign, is. And long story short, the rising sign sets your whole entire chart system, and you will get the most accurate horoscope when you go by your rising sign. Now, you can certainly still go by your sun sign. I don't want to confuse you. So if you want to go by your sun sign and that's what resonates for you, go right ahead. But I highly suggest that you go by your rising sign, especially if you know it. And if you do not know it, then check out the tutorial linked below. It's super fast and it's a free way of pulling up your own birth chart, and you can find your rising sign there. I've also linked below the Jupiter transit through Pisces video that you may want to go back and look at as well, because I did touch upon Jupiter's entrance into Aries a little bit in that video, I believe. But more importantly, it's cool to track it back and see what's gone on for you in the interim of all of this transiting and changing of the planets. Okay, so Jupiter. Jupiter is known as the king of the gods, okay? Jupiter is the fifth planet from the sun, and it is by far the largest planet in our solar system. It's twice as massive as all of the other planets, okay? And so the gravitational pull of Jupiter is extremely powerful. Now let's think about that symbolically. Let's look at that from the spiritual perspective, as I always try to get everyone to do, because the planets really are moving bodies of energy, and as they traverse the sky, they traverse our charts, they trigger our hearts, they trigger everything, okay? I'm not saying the planets are responsible for everything, but they certainly do indicate and often dictate the tone in our life during certain periods. And so this Jupiter in Aries period is going to impact a specific points in your chart, which is a specific part of your life, okay? And these are the areas in which you can see some nice growth and opportunities come to you. Now, Jupiter is also a planet that is all about faith and good fortune and abundance, but we also must do our part on the individual level, on the human three-dimensional level. Sometimes, yes, Jupiter comes in as a gift, but we still have to grasp that gift. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "Sitting still and wishing makes no person great. The good Lord sends the fishing, but you must dig the bait." And I don't remember who that quote is by, but I love that quote, and it so depicts Jupiter to me, in my opinion, the king of the gods. You take one step toward the gods, and the gods will take 10 steps toward you. So remember, it is what we do with these opportunities that Jupiter can bring in a specific place in our life, okay? So let's talk more about Jupiter's entrance into Aries. Now, Jupiter, as we know, is the gas giant, the largest planet in the solar system. It's a very big, buoyant, expansive, abundant, benevolent energy. In traditional astrology, Jupiter is a great benefic, a great benefactor, known to bring us some blessings, right? Some spiritual gifts. Now on May 10th, Jupiter is going to enter Aries. Aries, as the first sign of the zodiac, is also a big energy, okay? So Jupiter, a big energy, is entering Aries, a big energy. We are going to feel this shift, and we're likely already feeling it. I'm recording this video, it's May 8th, and I'm sure that we're all experiencing this feeling of energy in the body. We are also in eclipse season as I record this. We're building up to the total lunar eclipse on May 16th, which is also a very big energy. I've linked that video below so you can check that out as well. But Jupiter in Aries is very positive for the most part. Now, on the same day that Jupiter is going to enter Aries, May 10th, Mercury will also station retrograde in Gemini. But back to Jupiter. Jupiter is like the jolly uncle. Think about this, the jolly uncle that you see once a year around the holidays. And when he comes to your house that one time throughout the year, he bestows presents upon you because he hasn't seen you in such a long time. Think of Jupiter like the jolly old uncle that comes to your home once every year to bring you presents. Now, why do I say once a year? Because Jupiter spends 1 year in each zodiac sign. So if you are an Aries or an Aries sun or if you're an Aries sun, an Aries moon, an Aries rising, especially even an Aries Venus or an Aries North Node, you are really going to feel the benevolence and the positivity of this Jupiterian energy. This is a blessing for the Aries folks. But everyone's going to feel the blessings of Jupiter. Now, when Jupiter was in Pisces, it was the Pisces folks that were getting the boost of Jupiter's energy. And Pisces energy is a lot more muted than Aries energy. Not watered down in any capacity, because Pisces has its own energy of greatness and bigness, but it's not to the same capacity as Aries. So while Jupiter was in Pisces, Jupiter is exalted in Pisces, and Pisces kind of just flows, right? Pisces is very chill and, we are one, and very spiritual and very eclectic, and just wants everyone to get along and wants everything to be cohesive, and is more easy. It's more easy for Pisces energy and for Jupiter and Pisces to go with the flow and allow things to be. Well, Jupiter in Aries is not like Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter's entrance into Aries is big, and it's like go big or go home. That's Aries' mantra. That's also Jupiter's mantra. And so Jupiter in Aries is going to bring in this big, buoyant energy. Now, it's not explosive, okay? Like Uranus, for example. It's not compellingly deep and transformative like Pluto. It's also not fast, hot, and in your face like Mars, okay? What Jupiter does is it's more subtle, but it's just this good feeling. It's like, opportunity will come in a specific area, again, of your life, which will be dictated by where Jupiter falls in your chart. So look to your birth chart. Even if you don't have any planets in the sign of Aries, Aries will be somewhere in your birth chart. It's going to govern a house, or maybe even more than one house in your birth chart. So you want to look there to see where Jupiter will be, okay, and also where Jupiter will be transiting for this Jupiter and Aries transit. And I will tell you, I will go through all the signs and give it to you by the rising sign. But first, I just wanted to talk about what Jupiter's all about. So Jupiter is the jolly uncle that comes to town once a year, because Jupiter itself spends 1 year in each zodiac sign. So Jupiter's time in Aries is going to be from May 10th through July 28th. Jupiter will be direct in Aries. And then on July 28th, Jupiter will station retrograde, but still in Aries, and will remain there until October 28th. And then October 28th, Jupiter will retrograde back into the sign of Pisces, and then will station direct in the sign of Pisces on November 23rd. And then we'll move into Aries officially on December 20th of 2022. And will remain there until May of 2023. So we are still going to have the Pisces souls getting the Jupiterian boost yet again when Jupiter moves back into Pisces in from October through December. But meanwhile, it's going to be in Aries, and then it will shift into Aries for good from December through May. So again, if you are an Aries sun, an Aries moon, Aries rising, you're absolutely going to feel the great benefit from the benefic Jupiter. But we will all feel his buoyant, expansive energy. So Pisces, congratulations. Jupiter is not done with you yet, okay? He's still going to bestow his blessings upon you and come back around for another go around. Now, you may want to look back to where you were in your life during the time period of June of 2010 through June of 2011, when Jupiter was last in Pisces. Because remember, every 12 years, he's going to come back to the same sign. So he spends a year in each sign. Now, also important to remember that if your Jupiter falls in the sign of Aries, you are having your Jupiter return, which is also a very blessed period where Jupiter brings you blessings, okay? So if your Jupiter falls in the sign of Aries, that is just as important as if it's your sun or your rising, okay? So look to your chart and see where Jupiter falls, and look to your chart to see where Aries falls to get a bigger, clearer picture of what this can mean for you. And think about that area of your life, because if you put in just that little bit of extra effort, it's only going to grow exponentially for you. Okay, so for our Aries sun, Aries rising, this transit of Jupiter in Aries is going to take place in your first house. First house is very visible, it's very blessed, it's very lucky. This is where we put our energy out. This is a yang energy. This is the house of Aries. So having Jupiter here will really give you a boost in every which way. It's just an amazing transit for you, so just enjoy it. And if there's any kind of new routine you want to get started, whether it's a new diet routine, exercise, a new job you want to put your energy towards, basically anything to better yourself, this is a fascinating, amazing, fabulous time for you, Aries. It's your time to do this. Now, for our Taurus sun, Taurus rising, this is going to take place in your 12th house. And the 12th house is an emotional water house. It's very much behind the scenes. It's very psychologically driven. So having Jupiter here is going to give you a little extra spiritual protection when it comes to doing your soul work, your shadow work, digging deep and looking at what's maybe been bothering you or what's been holding you back. As Jupiter transits this 12th house in Aries for you, this is really going to give you more insight into your soul, into your intuition. Your dreams could become very colorful and enhanced, very big and expansive during this time period, and actually give you psychic information, because the 12th house is also very psychically driven. So pay very close attention here with Jupiter, because having Jupiter transit the 12th, I always say it's like having a guardian angel on your shoulder, and you can do a lot of really deep soul work here, and you're very protected while you're doing it. And when you come out of that 12th house energy, you go into the first house, and that's always very visible. So it's almost like you're pulling back here, Taurus, and you're doing your work while Jupiter is in that 12th house in Aries, and it's going to really serve you well, even if it doesn't feel good all the time. Okay, for our Geminis, our Gemini sun and our Gemini rising folks, this Jupiter in Aries transit is going to be in your 11th house of groups and community and social standards and social standing, also your friendships, networking. So this could be a really great time for some growth opportunities when working in groups, Gemini, when putting yourself out there, when doing some more speaking engagements, things of that nature, networking with friends. You know, Geminis love to network. They're in the know. They're very chatty. They're very communicative. So this can be a very expansive transit for you while Jupiter is in Aries in your 11th house, Gemini. Cancer sun, Cancer rising, this Jupiter in Aries transit is in your 10th house of career and public image and your reputation and your standing out in the world, your professional persona, your professional life. This is an amazing transit for you, Cancer. Basically, it's your time to shine out in the world. Whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're doing, eyes are on you more, and it's just a really great and expansive time to put yourself out there. So, you know, again, that can go either way. So if you don't want to put yourself out there, you're going to probably have to work a little harder not to be noticed. But if you are working towards something or some goals that especially have to do with your public reputation and your work, this is an amazing transit to have Jupiter in your 10th house, Cancer. So take full advantage of it. And if you notice that opportunities just start pouring in, thank lucky Jupiter. Leo sun, Leo rising, this Jupiter transit is going to be in your 9th house of learning and travel and education and the higher mind and politics and expanding your thoughts and your belief systems around all of these topics. Also, spirituality is big right now for the Leos. There's something here about recognizing that there's so much more out there that you ever could possibly imagine. Jupiter itself is such a big energy, and the 9th house is also the natural house of Jupiter. So you've got Jupiter transiting its domain, so it wants to broaden your horizons. It wants you to expand your mind and explore other possibilities and ways of doing things, and maybe take a nice long distance trip while you're at it. Virgo, for our Virgos, this transit's going to take place in your 8th house. Okay, so the 8th house, much like the 12th, is psychological. It's a water house. It's very deep. It's very secretive. It's very inward. It's very internal. So you're probably going to be feeling during this transit, again, similar to Taurus, that the more you go inward, the more you reflect and you go into the deep, deep, deep stuff, the better you're going to come out of it. So it may not feel amazing while you're going through it, but it is Jupiter. So Jupiter tends to bring things in a way that doesn't feel detrimental. It feels like it just wants us to grow and expand. So by exploring those darker confines of our soul and of our psyche, that's how we get to the next level in our soul's evolution. Now, for Virgo, this could also be financially driven, because the 8th house does speak to speculative endeavors and also other people's finances, loans and banking. Also, inheritances fall under the 8th house. It's also taxes, and in some cases, it's death. Not necessarily physical, although it can be, but metaphorical. So for some of the Virgos, if you're extremely spiritual and you are working psychically, this could be a really great transit for you to expand your natural psychic ability. In fact, I would say for the Virgo sun, Virgo rising folks, this transit is big for enhancing your psychic ability, like Taurus in the 12th, because we are dealing with a water house and we're dealing with Jupiter that wants to bring things up and bring them out. And another key word for Jupiter is truth. So remember, the truth shall set you free. Libra. This transit will take place for you in your 7th house of contracts and partnerships and mutuality and sharing, okay? These are relationships and connections of all kinds, Libra, not just romantic. It's business, it's platonic, it's friendships, it's family, it's all different it's all different contacts and associations. And so while Jupiter is here for you, there's a huge expansion that's taking place when it comes to the people who you're working with, the people who you're, linking up with in every capacity, in every sense of that word. And Jupiter wants to bring in the right ones for you. So it's going to be a really great time of doors opening in this arena. You may find yourself signing a lot of contracts under this time period. The 7th house is the natural house of Libra. So you are in your domain here while Jupiter is transiting through Aries. Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. This transit will take place in your 6th house of health and routine and daily service, and also your daily habits. So while Jupiter's here in the 6th house, I always say when Jupiter transits the 6th, watch what you eat, literally, because you can tend to go off the rails a little bit because it feels like it's not affecting you when Jupiter transits the 6th, but then all of a sudden it'll catch up to you. So just watch that. But this is a really great time for you, Scorpio, to expand your horizons on the daily. Change up your routine. Scorpio is a fixed energy. They like things the way they like it, but this is a time to expand and explore and maybe even change your day-to-day work and routine and your service to the world. This could be a time where you go back to school, or you maybe decide to take a break from what you're doing and pursue a different avenue. The gods of Jupiter are with you at this time, Scorpio, and anything that comes to your health and your routine, if you want to jazz that up, change that up, you are super supported when it comes to these areas. Sagittarius, this transit will take place for you in your 5th house of fun and pleasure and romance and play and creative projects. So this is a really great energy for you, Sagittarius. Regardless of what you're doing, it's great to tap back into the inner child. Have some fun. You're probably going to receive a lot of invitations during this time period of Jupiter's transit through Aries, your fellow fire sign. Jupiter is also your planetary ruler, Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So I think you're going to get a lot of really nice opportunities for fun. If you're looking for romance, this is a wonderful transit for you. If you're looking to have a baby, this is a time of great fertility. Also, your creative projects are getting a really nice boost, Sagittarius. So this is a great place to have Jupiter transiting your chart. You're likely going to receive quite a benefit here. Capricorn sun and Capricorn rising. This Jupiter transit will take place in your 4th house of the home life, the personal life, your physical home. It can be your office or your actual place of residence. It could be the people that feel like home to you, your security, your foundation. That is what the 4th house represents. So while Jupiter is transiting this area for you, you may feel much more connected to your personal life, to going inward, to being introverted, maybe sprucing up your home environment, maybe you're painting, maybe you're renovating, extending, traveling more, and then coming back to the home, living with someone else, deciding to move in with somebody or move your office into the home. There's something here about the home environment that's quite big and expansive for you, Capricorn. Even spending more time in the home and actually really enjoying it. This is really nice for you. Aquarius sun and rising. This Jupiter transit will take place in your 3rd house of communication, community, your siblings and those that are like your siblings, the people that you deal with on the day-to-day. Also, any kind of writing projects that you're dealing with, communication projects that you're dealing with. So Jupiter here will probably offer you many opportunities to communicate and connect with others that could be closer to you by proximity, but also just people that you can really connect with and do some good work with, Aquarius. You are the sign of humanitarianism, and you do like to do for the world. And so you can find yourself receiving opportunities to put your energy there throughout this transit. And Pisces, Jupiter's transit through Aries for you is going to take place in your 2nd house of your own finances and also your self-worth and what it is that you value and what it is that you're connected to. Also the physical body. So again, Jupiter here is going to be really nice. It's been in your 1st house and it's been giving you a really nice boost for quite the better part of last year, and it's still going to go back and give you more. So it's going to be between your 2nd house and your 1st house. So it's really a good time for you to lay down a foundation for the next 12 years of your life, because Jupiter spends 12 years in each sign, and it was in your 1st house, the very beginning, and it's now in your 2nd. So it's giving you this new foundation to lay. So really take the opportunities as they come in for you, Pisces, and reflect and see if this is where you want to go. Because if you are open to it, you'll likely just continue to see more and more of the goodness that Jupiter will bring in for you and has been bringing in for you. And same with Aries, as it being the beginning of the cycle, because it is the first house, which starts the whole zodiacal wheel again. So it is really all about new beginnings and new blessings. So there you have it, Jupiter through the houses, and a little more about what Jupiter in Aries means. I'm gonna maybe even come on and do some of these live. I'm figuring out how to do the whole live stream thing. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments. You can come on and ask questions, and I can see it pop up on the side. I'm gonna probably test that out because I think that might be kind of fun, instead of me just talking to myself, the camera here, to interact more with you guys and take questions and whatever else. So let me know what you think. Pop off below. And remember to check the comments box for the Jupiters, the other videos I've done on Jupiter, how to pull up your birth chart. I've also posted the weekly for this week ahead. I've got the information about the total lunar eclipse that you're probably going to want to check out if you haven't done so already here on my channel. And remember to take really good care of yourselves. Enjoy the expansive energy of Jupiter. This is a good one, okay? The astrology has been intense. The energy has definitely been intense, of course. And it will continue to be so, obviously, because there's so much going on, you know, outside in the world. And we do have to deal with that reality as well. And we really can only take care of what's in here. And so focusing on some of the good stuff can certainly help, since there's so much of the other stuff that's going on outside. Anyway, take really good care of yourselves, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye, guys.